Welcome back to the channel, and it is opening day for our Mobile Bay Bears in this 2030 MLB season here in OOTP 25 with our expansion team. And we have our opening day roster set, and we will meet our Mobile Bay Bears for the 2030 season here momentarily. I do want to show you guys a move that we did just make. We did make a trade. William Contreras was on the trading block. He had a minor league contract, and the Angels were wanting to trade him away. He's getting older, but he's still durable. 32 years old, still a excellent defensive catcher and a respectable bat. It was pretty much a low risk trade, so I went ahead and did it. They wanted Jim Anderson, one of our prospects, but not a high prospect, and honestly he hasn't made it above A ball. Maybe this year he would have been above A ball. I could see that the Angels have him in the rookie league, so that's probably not ideal for him. But he is younger, 25 years old. I guess that's why they're willing to take him. But again, no real future for us in our major league team. However, I can see William Contreras potentially coming up and contributing, especially the fact that he has a minor league contract and he has an option year. So he definitely could see some playing time for us, and would anticipate him to be a pretty respectable bat. But with all that being said, those are the only moves I have made since we have last talked. It is time to meet the 2030 Mobile Bay Bears. So I do want to first acknowledge that we have a couple players on the IL that once they come off the IL in about, for one of them, he has about a week left, and the other one has about 3 weeks. There's a very good, and another one's got 4 weeks. There are chances that these players do make it onto the roster, and then we have to send someone down or waive them or whatever just to make room. Most notably, Jose Cornell. It is obvious that he is going to be back in our rotation as soon as he is healthy. You might remember he just got a tired arm and was listed as day-to-day, and I went ahead and put him on the 15-day IL, and he has about 8 days left. He will definitely be slotted back into the rotation. Brandon Iser, I haven't decided what I want to do with him. He hasn't really performed that well for us. 2028 was his best year for us with a 1.1 WAR, and last year he was barely above replacement. So at $2 million, there's potential that I trade him away and open up some salary. He is arbitration eligible as well, and he makes almost $4 million next year, so that could free up quite a bit of money. And I'm assuming he's probably fairly valuable in the trade market. So I think it's conceivable that we move on from him once he is healthy, but that is to be determined. You never know what other injuries are going to pop up. Kyle Brnovich has about 4 weeks left on the IL. He's only making the major league minimum. He is 32 years old, does have good leadership traits, and has pitched better for us than Brandon, but at the same time, last year was below replacement level, so not going to go out of my way to keep him on the roster if he comes back and there's not a spot for him. He doesn't have any option years left. There's a chance that we either waive him or we trade him. But again, that's to be determined. Still got a few weeks before that happens. There might be a spot open because of another injury. All right, so now that we got those guys out of the way, well, I will mention Brent Hedrick. He has about 4 months or 3 months left on the IL. If he when he comes back, he has been solid for us, and he will get a chance, even though he's could potentially make $5 million. So there's going to be a decision on him next year as well. But once he comes back in 3 months, hopefully he can be strong for us down the stretch and contribute. And then we'll have to make a decision on him in the offseason. All right, moving on to the lineups. First and foremost, we have our catcher duo, Caden Bodine, who is only 26 years old. He will be hitting against righties, and he'll be playing against right-handed pitching. And then Yanier Diaz will be playing against a left-handed pitching. He has a better profile against lefties. They are both very similar when it comes to offense and defense. So I'll get a scouting report for him. I don't know why it's not very high, but he is a little bit better against lefties, so that's where we're going to slot him in against lefties. All right. Moving on is Sean Butchard. Also going to platoon the first base role. He is going to hit against left-handed pitchers, while Mr. Luis Garcia is going to hit against right-handed pitching. You can see the difference there. Both are very respectable at defense, have good personality traits, not much pop, but should hit for an okay average. But that is our first base platoon duo. Next we have Xavier Edwards, a switch hitter, been on our team since the beginning, has always provided just above replacement except for 2 years ago, but last year had a decent season, 265, 328 on base percentage, 1.3 WAR, only the 83 WRC plus, but did well for us considering the position we needed that to be. And I am not sure why all these guys are losing their scouting reports. I guess just because I don't dump a lot of money into Major League Scouts. Okay, that is our third base starter. Our DH is going to be Blaze Jordan. He played first base for us last year, but we upgraded that position defensively, and I didn't want to take his bat out of the lineup because he did do well for us, a 102 WRC plus, a .6 WAR, but hit 22 home runs and 75 RBIs last year and hit 269 for us. So I wanted to keep that bat in the lineup, so I'm going to put him at DH whenever we traded away Junior Moreno. That opened up that spot for Blaze Jordan to slot right in. Next is Nico Horner, our second baseman. We played him last year at shortstop, but he's a true second baseman. We played him there last year just because we didn't have a better option at shortstop. But this year we do, so we moved him back to second. So we expect his defensive ratings to really kick in and help us out the middle. Had a respectable year for us last year, 11 home runs, 52 RBIs, struck out less than 100 times, only 61 to be exact, stole 29 bases, hit 262, had a 1.5 WAR and an 84 WRC plus. Is making $3 million, but we do have 2 years left on team options, so we will have to see how those go. Hopefully he does well this year, and we can lock him up the next year. I think they're so it's for $1.5 million, so we're going to get him at half the pay we got him at right now, so that could be a steal for us. But he will start at second base for us. Ward Juan Cardenas. Fragile injury proneness, but he will start the Major League season on the 26-man roster, basically because he is a little versatile in the infield and outfield, has a respectable bat, and is making the Major League minimum. Only 22, almost 23 years old, but had some time with us last year. It was at 128 at bats. He had 5 home runs, 10 doubles, 2 triples. Hit 266, had a 108 WRC plus and a .3 WAR. So he will be our backup DH and second baseman, as well as third baseman. Next is Miguel Garcia, and he will be our starting shortstop. I mentioned that we had upgraded our shortstop position defensively, and that allowed Nico Hoerner to move over to second base. So I like our middle infield defense a lot better this year. But he did well with Cleveland last year in almost 500 at bats. He hit 299 with a 346 on base percentage, a 101 WRC plus, and a 2.1 WAR. Just turned 30 years old, so doesn't strike out a ton either. He only had 80 strikeouts last year, so less than 100 strikeouts. I am game for that. Isn't going to provide much pop, but I don't really need that for my shortstop. I need solid defense and a guy that can just get on base. He can also steal some bases. So I liked our upgrade at shortstop. We also have him locked up for the next 2 years and then a team option in 2032. Next is Drew Gilbert. Had a bit of a down year for us last year. I'm hoping for a rebound back to his 2028 form. If he could do that, we are going to be in great position, I think, this year. But at making $6 million a year and is due to make $7 million next year, he is one of the more expensive players on our team. And he's only got 1 more year of arbitration left, and then he is going to be free agent bound, and he is looking for, right now, $9 million a year. I might mess around with his contract and see if I can't offer him like a 2 or 3 year deal. I'm not going to go too deep because he'll be 30 years old at the end of the season. So maybe till he's like 32, 33 with some team options. See if I can lock him up for around what we're paying him right now. And I think that'll be a solid value considering his defense. And he still does have a respectable bat profile and isn't going to strike out a ton. So if we could just get him to hit like he did in 2028, he would be pretty valuable for us. Next is Daylen Lau, also fragile in the injury proneness, but has bounced back and forth a little bit between major leagues and AAA. Came up for us last year towards the end of the year, only had 70 at-bats, but did respectable, had a 275 average, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 4 doubles. Nothing crazy, but just provides a little bit of depth in the outfield with a bat and a respectable defense. But he is the extra outfielder we have. Next up is our star player, Mason Davis. No introduction needed on this guy. Just absolutely demolished the major leagues last year after skipping the AAA level completely. Hopefully he can repeat what he did last year, and we'll be in good shape for a guy making the major league minimum. But he will start in center field for us. And next is Lawrence Butler. We're really looking for a rebound from him. I believe he did a lot better in spring training. Somewhat better. He hit 242, 2 home runs and 8 RBIs. Is much better than 206. He did wind up with 13 home runs last year, and that 206 was an improvement because it was at like 190 going into like August. So hopefully he can go back to 2028 form and give us a close to a 2020 season like he did in 2027. But if we could get that from him, he battled some injuries last year, but if we can get the old Lawrence Butler back, our outfield offense and defense is going to be very solid. And that is our offensive side of the team. Let's move on over to the pitching side. All right, starting with our starting rotation. First and foremost is Michael King. When I put him in the number one slot, he was by far the best pitcher in this rotation. So I'm probably going to move him because you might remember from the last episode, as soon as we signed him, the very next player update, he just tanked in his profile. And it was absolutely annoying after we just paid him $6 million for a one-year contract. We're still hoping that he can provide a solid year for us. It probably won't be worth the $6 million. But nonetheless, hopefully it is a solid season to where we're not totally out the $6 million. If I can, maybe I trade him. I don't know. But he's definitely not the player that I paid $6 million for, unfortunately. But I guess that's what you get when you sign someone that's 34 years old, because apparently that's extremely old in this game. But I'm not even going to go down that soapbox. So we'll just continue on. Our new number one is going to be Chris Montgomery. No introduction needed for him. If you followed last year, he threw us a no-hitter. He is making $4.7 million this year. We'll be 31 soon. He's in the last year of his contract. Conceivable this is his last year with us. I don't know if we'll be able to sign him. He's only wanting $7 million, but he's wanting 2 years worth, so maybe we could talk to him. I think 2 years is the most I would sign just because of how this game ages players. But nonetheless, he is our ace right now. I'll go ahead and make that move. Next is Spencer Howard. Did well for us in a small sample size last year. Has pitched well in San Francisco. Pitched okay in the minors for us. We have him up this year mainly because of the injury to Cornell and Eisert. So he is in the rotation. I am not convinced that he stays in the rotation, but his profile is not bad. I just don't know if he stays around. He's about to be 34 years old, and he's going to make almost $4 million next year. But for now, he is in the rotation. Next is Darnell Sannon. We did lock him up for 3 years. 2 of them are option years. This year being his highest paid year at 2.25. The next year, 1.15, and then 1.5 in the final year if we choose to exercise those options. He has not been particularly great. He's been right around replacement level. However, good leadership, has a decent profile, and fits our need right now. He's more of a bullpen guy to me. But right now we are pressed because of injuries, and he is in the starting rotation. Next is I just clicked on him. Next is Greg Ricks, who has been a pleasant surprise for this team. I had him as a relief guy, and that was wrong, I guess. As soon as I have moved him over to the starter role, in each of the last 2 seasons, he has excelled and done well. His ERAs don't suggest it, but he did spend time in the bullpen each of those 2 years, and every time I put him in that bullpen, his ERA skyrocketed. He just does better as a starting pitcher, and he's an Iron Man. So I love that. He's a guy that you know is going to take the ball every 5 days and give you a decent outing because of his ratings. So it's for very good reason I signed him for 3 years. I fully intend to probably exercise those options at $2.3 million a year for this guy. This year is getting paid $4 million at 30 years old. So definitely think that he will be his option will be exercised next year. But for now, he is in our rotation and is probably our number 3. Currently, actually, probably number 2. And yeah, that is the rotation. Moving on to the bullpen, our lefty specialist is Brock Selvage. Another guy making the major league minimum, did well for us last year, 3.97 ERA. Not great, right around replacement level, but at the same time, not bad. For the major league minimum, I'll take him. AJ Blebeau, making above the major league minimum, but has also been very good for us last year in 25 appearances. He had a 2.65 ERA, did wind up with 4 saves and a hold. So definitely has earned his spot on this team. Next is Chase Hampton. Really struggled last year, surprisingly. I don't know what to say. Maybe I move him to the starting role. Maybe I don't. I don't know. I'm tempted to put him back in there. He does have 4+ pitches, and maybe he just pitched badly. I don't know. But still a young guy, 28. Will be 29 this year, so it's conceivable that I put him back in the starting rotation to give him another chance. Next is Cody Funderburk, our setup guy, one of our setup guys. Did okay for us last year, was slightly above the replacement, did appear in 42 games, had 13 holds and 2 saves at a 4.45 ERA, so not great on the ERA, but does have extreme ground ball tendencies and has above average stuff, slider, sinker, and a very nice cutter. Next is Isaiah Campbell, another setup guy. Did great for us last year, 3.08 ERA in almost 40 appearances, had 10 holds and 2 saves. 89 FIP minus and a .6 WAR, 32 years old, will be a free agent after the end of this year. I don't know. I could potentially sign him for a 1-year deal. That's probably all I would do. He's looking for 3, so might be his last year with us. I could do 3 with the 2-year team option thing. We will visit that later, I guess. Edgar Rosales. Signed him this offseason, paying him $5.3 million to be in our bullpen, and he pitched well. Last year, he had a 2.96 ERA with St. Louis in almost 60 appearances, 10 saves, and 7 holds. He's pitched well everywhere in his career. So I anticipate that he's going to pitch well for us, and hopefully he's a good setup guy for us. Next is our stopper, and that is Carlos Hernandez. He also wants to be a starter. I didn't put him in the starting rotation last year. He did well at the 3.94 ERA in 29 or 28 appearances. So hopefully as a stopper, he can come in and turn those lights out on these late inning rallies. He is locked up for the next 2 seasons. He's getting $4.2 million this year, and then I have 2 team options the following years at $2.9 million. So I think I will exercise probably at least one of those. I think $2.9 million for a guy that pitches like this is a bargain. So I think at least one of those years I will exercise. We will see about the last year. And last but not least is our closer, Connor Cook. He's actually been our closer for the last year and a half or season and a half. So he filled in 2028 after an injury and pitched well at 3.11 ERA with 15 saves. Last year, he was our closer from start to finish. I didn't love his blown saves and his 4-13 record, but he did wind up with 38 saves. So hopefully this year he can fix that. He might be on a short leash. I might move someone else in there like Rosales. I could see myself moving Rosales in there. But I don't know yet. We will see. I think it's conceivable that Rosales gets that role if Cook is not performing well. But either way, that is our full 2030 Major League roster for the Mobile Bay Bears. And the only thing left to do now is to begin the 2030 season. And we come away with the win on opening day, so we start the season 1-0. It was a pitcher's duel from the beginning. Very solid performances from both pitchers. We had Greg Ricks on the mound. That's interesting considering I had Montgomery as the number one guy, but hey, either way, I'm fine with that. 5 2/3 innings, 1 hit, 1 run. Did give up 4 walks, had 5 Ks and 90 pitches. Funderburk came in through 1 1/3 and struck out 1 and walked 1 and only threw 12 pitches. And then Carlos Hernandez came in and threw 2 innings and locked down the door with 2 strikeouts and only threw 25 pitches. Hitting wise, I am going to have to go through and fix my lineup. This is not the... Oh, wait, this is the lineup that I picked. Never mind. I was like, wait a second. I forget that I was rotating Edwards and Mikael Garcia back and forth as the leadoff guys. But anyways, Garcia was 2 for 4 for our leadoff guy. Butcher was 0 for 3. And then Luis Garcia came in for a pinch hit and did not register it at bat. But Blaze Jordan, 0 for 4. Mason Davis, 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Drew Gilbert, 1 for 3 with a run scored. And then Cardenas looks like he hit a home run in the 9th inning to give us the lead. And Nico Horner went 1 for 3. Butler, 1 for 4. Good to see him to get a hit to start the season. But Cardenas, our young 22-year-old utility guy, comes in and gives us the go-ahead home run in the top of the 9th, and we beat the Blue Jays 2-1 to start the season. Hopefully that is a good omen, even though I think last year we started 1-0 as well. And 6 games into the season, we have our first injury. It is a day-to-day injury, but he is given a substantial effect to his throwing, and that is Chase Hampton. He has a tired arm, so we're going to go ahead and put him on the IL. I do have Jose Cornell coming back in 2 days. So what's going to happen is I'm just going to leave that roster spot open. When Cornell comes back in 2 days, I'll fill him back in, and then I will move one of the guys in the rotation to the bullpen to fill in for Hampton. That way I don't have to call anyone up and send anyone back down, or potentially call someone up and they not have options, or, vice versa. So that is the plan. It is just 2 days. We are 3-3 to start the season. We swept the first 2 games. against Toronto, then lost the next 2 against Boston, actually lost the next 3, 1 against Tampa Bay, and then we won yesterday's game against Tampa Bay, and we have another one against Tampa Bay today. So we are moving along and hopefully get reinforcements back real soon in the form of Jose Cornell. And unfortunately, we are now 3-6. We've lost 3 straight, and we just lost a setup guy for the rest of the season. Cody Funderburk ruptured a disc in his back, and he will be out for 8 months. Really unfortunate. He is arbitration eligible next year, and he is going to make arbitration money next year. At 33 years old, a very good chance his time in Mobile has come to an end. He did pitch well for us every year. Maybe I bring him back, maybe I don't. I don't know. But 8 months, so he is out. We will move him over to the 60-day IL. And now we have a decision to make. I do have Brandon Isaac coming back. However, I don't know if I want to give him a rehab start or rehab assignment or not. It's possible. I don't know. Let me go through the minor leagues and figure out what we got, and I'll let you guys know what I do. So we did go with a minor leaguer, Chase Dollander. We signed him, I believe, in the off season. I'll have to look. Yes, we gave him a minor league contract in the off season. Was hoping we wouldn't have to exercise that contract, but we did. He does have an option year left for us, so he's just going to make the major league minimum, and there's a good chance that he goes back down. I don't hate his profile. I think he could, provide some meaningful innings in potentially the rotation, but more so in Funderburk's place as a setup guy, middle relief kind of guy. That's kind of where I would like him. But we'll see. He wants to be a starter. He is a little exhausted right now because he just pitched. But I don't have a spot for him in the rotation right now. But I do have a spot for him in the bullpen. So we will see if he is happy with that. Probably won't be. But he is our replacement for Funderburk as of right now. And for whatever reason, this game hates us in early seasons. We have now lost 7 in a row. We were 3-10. I don't understand how every year this happens to us. Maybe it's something I'm doing. I don't know. But we are all playing. The whole team is playing terribly. And we are 3-7, or 3-10. And have lost 7 in a row now. So hopefully we can get this thing turned around quickly before it gets bad. This team is much better than a 3-10 team. And we have stopped the bleeding. We are 4-14, already 10 games below 500. So definitely not how we wanted this season to start. And we are also hemorrhaging at injuries. We now have an injury for Nico Hoerner. It is pending, and it's on his knee. So hopefully it is not bad. He is one of the few bright spots on our team this early in the season. As we close out April or coming to a close, we are not doing well. Mason Davis is hitting 179. Our whole top of the lineup is below 200. Nico seems to be our best hitter, as well as Lawrence Butler. Good to see him having a bounce back year. Pitching is shaping up. The ERAs are coming down, but we're 4-14. So we gotta get the damage that we have caused turned around and fixed. And yeah, we will see what Nico Horner's injury is. And the news is not good for Nico Horner. He is out for the season with a ruptured medial collateral ligament. So his MCL, he ruptured, and he is gone for the season. So lost 2 players in the first month for the season so far. It is not good. We do have him at team options for 31 and 32, but I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna exercise those options. We'll see. But he nonetheless is gone for the season. So we will move him to the 60-day IL and start searching for his replacement here. And we're gonna bring up a familiar face, Juan Baez. Didn't make the 26-man roster, but he's played a somewhat substantial amount of time. I guess it's still limited, but it's over 2 separate seasons, and he played respectable on both of those appearances. Can play a few positions, but he's going to back up our second baseman now, Cardenas. There's a very good chance he gets hurt as well. He is fragile, so but he has the better bat and also the better defensive ability at second base. So probably not ideal for him to be starting because he's probably going to get hurt. I thought about that. The more he starts, the more chances he has to get hurt. But hopefully we have done our fair share of injuries this year, and we can move on and try to turn this thing around as we sit at 4-15 on the season. But hopefully we can finish April with some wins. And we have made it to the 1st of May, and the first month is in the books, and it wasn't pretty. 7-19 after the first month. We are already 10 games back in the division, sitting dead last. We did play better towards the end of the month, but still didn't play great. Go ahead and look at our, if I can find the right screen here. I'm blanking. There we go. Looks like we are the worst in the American League at 7-19. So, familiar place for us. I'm guessing my GM skills are not as good as they were in 2024's OOTP, but I still think this team has the ability to turn this around. We are showing some signs. So hopefully we can get things turned around. Our bats can get going, and our pitching can lock it in and make this happen. We need a much better month in May. And before we move on into May, I did bring back up Brandon Eisert. He did finish his rehab assignment, pitched well in 12 innings at a .73 ERA, so hopefully he can repeat that here. I doubt he does, but kind of his last tryout for us. If it doesn't go well, I will bring back up Dollander. I sent him down to make room for Brandon Eisert, but Dollander was pitching well. But he was the only player that had an option left, so I had to send him down unless I wanted to get rid of a player. And the first player on my mind to get rid of is, crazy enough, Michael King. I don't see him turning into what we thought he was going to be because of his rating drop. So I might chop him a little bit. We'll see. But that's the update. I did bring back Eisert to start May. And we have made it to the 1st of June, and still not going the way we wanted to. We are 20-34. So 14 games below 500. Still obviously plenty of time to turn that around. But after 2 months of a sample size, you kind of feel on what your team is going to do for the year, you think. And it's not as good as we thought or we hoped. May was a much better month. We still fell 2 games short of 500 in May, but we did almost double our win total from April, so that's a improvement. We'll move into June, hopefully to have an even better month. As you can see, we were 13 and 15 in May and 7 and 19 in April. So would have been much nicer if April would have been similar to May and we would be, right around that 500 mark still. But we got some clawing back to do. We have improved in the hitting category. Last time we checked this, every single one of these categories was 16th in the league, except for stolen bases and base running. So not ideal. We do lead the league in strikeouts, so that is not what we want, but we kind of expected that. Earned run average, again, our pitching is not bad. Our ERA is what's killing us for the starters. Our bullpen ERA is 3rd in the AL for some reason. We're tied for 7th on hits allowed, so about middle of the pack there. Same with runs allowed. We do have a BABIP that was climbing. It was a lot lower. I think it was like 250 or 260 last time we checked this. It's at 307 now. Home runs allowed 67. That's 12th in the AL. So the one that really puzzles me is the defensive efficiency and zone rating. We have an outstanding defensive team. I highly prioritize that. So I'll have to go look through and see who's costing us the defensive efficiency and zone ratings. I don't know who it is. Maybe it's the backup guys. I know we got rid of, or I know we lost Nico Horner, but at the same time, maybe it's the second base, but I'll have to go and look. I didn't think it would make that big of a difference, but apparently it is. So I'll have to go and look and see what's going on there. Back to the offense. On a positive note, we have a 3rd best batting average in the league. We just need more slugging and more home runs. We're 15th for home runs. So hopefully Mason can get hot and Drew Gilbert can get hot and Lawrence Butler and those guys. We have the potential to hit home runs. They just haven't put it together yet this year. But nonetheless, 20 and 34 going into June. So not ideal, but it is what it is at this point. We are going to continue to grind this out. If we somehow make a comeback and get close to 500 around the trade deadline, maybe we'll make a move. But right now it appears as we are going to be another below average season, and it's unfortunate, but that's kind of where we're heading. I will, in the next episode, give a player development update with our prospects. We did move quite a few prospects up to AA. They are doing very well in high A ball. And the last development update for my monthly update was very favorable for those guys. So we'll dive through that in the next episode. I don't want to make this episode any longer. So I appreciate you guys watching. I will see you all in the next episode, and I hope you all have a great day.